What's going on, guys? It is the season finale of Survivor's Remorse. Me and Trinae are in the building. We're about to get to it. Make sure you stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hey, what we doing? What we doing? What we hating on us, but they never cash money. And I be stunting like my daddy. Hey, stunting like my daddy. Hey, stunting like my daddy. I'm stunting like my daddy. I'm a young stunner, stunting like my daddy. Stunting like my daddy. I'm stunting like my daddy. Hey, Weezy back in the day, he was saying some hot stuff, but you don't know what he's saying.
To be just like Birdman.
Yeah. Hey, we out here live though. Survivor's Remorse season finale. We come to the end of the road, but we have a great show for you. I am your host, Jimmy V. I can be found Twitter, Instagram at Be Your Own Dad. Let me introduce my homie over here.
What's up? What's up, you guys? It's your girl, Trinae, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at your girl, Trinae.
So we are 2 hosts down, so shout out to Gary as well as Shaprentice. They've been with us all season. They've held it down, and we're going to send this off the right way.
I know.
So last week, we were talking about it. That was a juicy episode. There was so much stuff that they brought into the season.
I watched it last week, and while I was watching it, I was like, whoa, this is so intense and so deep, but this is what we needed.
Yes,
finally, we're getting what we had.
Exactly.
All of us, when it was 4 of us all here, that's all we wanted, was just to feel connected to these characters.
Bring us in more.
Right.
Bring us in, yeah. And matter of fact, we were talking earlier about the scene with Tashina and how she got raped, and that was kind of going viral on Facebook. Like, I saw it on a few different posts.
Really?
So it's definitely reaching out there because at the end of the day, it's a real situation that somebody out there could possibly relate to.
Right. And then the fact that a mother has to tell her child that, no matter how old you are, like, yeah, Cam is like in his 20s, but hearing that from your mom, you know, you want to, especially sons, they want to protect their moms. And it really does like hurt to like hear that coming out from your mom's mouth, and just knowing like, wow, like she really went through all this and no one was there to like help her and get her through this tough time.
Yeah, tough. I mean, especially looking at their situations too. Obviously, looking at it from Cassie's point of view, both of the fathers aren't in the picture at all. So just to go off what you said, as a son, you want to be able to protect your mother, be able to provide her with everything that she may need. And Cam's been able to do that up to a certain point because he didn't know of that information there, which, as we see in this episode, it continues to affect him.
Yeah, to the point where he lost against the Celtics.
The game. Boston, what's up? Shout out one
that's
time.
That's close to home because he's from Boston.
Exactly.
And then, you know, it's like, come on, Cam. But now we know last week he was like emotionally just too much. Like,
he was at a point
too much.
He didn't know how to take in the information, so he turned to smoking weed, and he ended up taking some LSD, and he had that whole thing, but that was his way to cope with the information that he took in. So obviously, after losing to the first round in the Celtics, he walks out of the interview with the press people, and he goes in the back and he starts to cry. And then I'm not sure if it was Reggie or Flaherty that asked him, "Is just a game?" And he's like, "I'm not crying about the game." And that's where you knew it was still about the mom, and that's how he was dealing with that.
The mom, the fact that, you know, he gave up his child.
Yeah.
You know, just a lot of things. Maybe in that sense, he felt like he was being selfish because he gave up this child, you know, although the girl was saying it was my choice to give this child up. It was more so Cam was like, I should have stepped in and been that man. So he probably has like a lot of guilt, a lot of guilt with his mom too, because, you know, he didn't know that this was like a huge secret that he was telling her. And then he has to kind of like now figure out how he's going to be able to support his mom. Like, his mom is like the kind of person who so much has happened to her that it just kind of just goes past her. It flies past her.
Yeah, and only thing I can think of, she's just one of those people where so much, just like you said, she's used to all these negative things always coming at her. So instead of her allowing them to affect her at that point, she just puts them away, locks them out, just moves on.
She's sort of desensitized to all the things that have come her way, and I'm sure Cam, he now wants to figure out how maybe he can go on, because obviously we're seeing that these family secrets that have finally come up front,
they're starting to haunt everybody.
Right, they're going to be like causing a lot of friction in the family and amongst the characters by themselves.
So Cassie, now, she didn't stay home. She went overseas, and she went over to China, where I think after she got there, the black population raised by 1. So obviously it wasn't too much there. But the interesting thing is, obviously, Chin's parents, I hope you guys could read the subtitles on them. They weren't fond of Chin bringing home a black person.
Right.
I thought it was hilarious how they kept going back and forth as the parents, but Chin he never let Cassie know what the parents were actually talking, He kept trying to cover up for him in a way.
It was hilarious.
And then by the end of the episode, they actually warmed up to her.
I know.
But I want to know how Cassie would have reacted if she actually knew everything that they were actually saying.
Well, we know that's why Chin
She'd have turned up on him.
Yeah, like, this is what they're saying, because he knows it would have been just like dishes flying, chicken thrown across the table. So it would have been pretty bad. We all know it probably would have just like made the trip sour. And
it would have made it much more, it have brought a negative cloud over everything, because they were throwing hella shade.
Yeah.
I mean,
the mom especially.
When they were talking about black people or something, and then Chin goes, "Would you like more chicken?" I just saw that relevance there.
I know.
Little joke. I don't know if you picked up on it, but
and then the dad, when they were at the boardwalk, he said they all must have big booties or whatever. Like the comment he made, it was like all these sort of thoughts in his mind that when you come across another culture, it's like
so much
these are
different things,
stereotypes or things that they see. And even so, when we saw the woman come up to Cassie and try to get a picture of her,
she thought she
that
was
does happen.
Beyonce.
Yeah, that does happen, because a lot of like guys who have gone to like China, or they'll be like tall and they'll be like, they come up to me, they're like,
talk about that Tyrese guy.
Yeah, like they tell me, like they're saying they want to take pictures of me. They
so
always
funny.
think that I'm like an athlete or something, or like a singer or a rapper. So it's like,
for those at home, there was a guy who I did not think he looked like Tyrese, but he was tall, black, and bald. He went over to China, and this is a true story, went over to China with Tyrese's picture, and all he did was like, yeah, autograph, and everybody showed him love, took pictures. He signed him, man. He was having a ball. But there it just goes, though. I mean, when you go to a whole nother continent and you fit these few attributes of a famous person, I guess you can become them. So I thought that was funny
Chin
of that
was
guy.
Like, oh, it's because she thinks you're Beyonce, because he noticed Cassie was all like, "You've never seen a black person before? Here I am." He's like, "No, babe, it's because it's because she thinks you're Beyonce." So our point's valid.
Right, exactly. Now, there was so much revolving around Cassie, even still back home. Last after show, the main question we left on was, how was Mary Charles going to react to the news that her dad is a rapist, one, but now she understands why she doesn't understand her father, and she wants some information. She wants to get down to it.
Yeah, and how bad it should have, felt for Cam to have to break those news down to
Yeah.
someone, especially his sister.
I wanted them to show that scene because that's where the scene left off on the previous episode. This scene starts off with Mary Charles completing therapy, which was good, and then she reveals that she now knows about her mother. So I think they left us out of a important conversation that we should
because
have
they
seen.
probably want to bring that into season 4.
Yeah, maybe.
Most likely.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably going to be, we'll get more into that in predictions. But
Mm-hmm.
no, it was interesting that this, you know, they said a quote when she was talking to Florenti that human beings are amazing and some of them suck.
Yeah.
And we've seen that from like all angles,
Very.
you know, just like this part, especially where she, you know, she wants to find the person who did this to her mom. It's like basically out of her control, because how do you know you're gonna be able to find that specific person?
Yeah, exactly.
It could be anywhere. Why? What is it gonna do for you to? And that's what Florence
That's the
was
question.
asking.
Yeah.
What is it gonna do for you to find this person? Like, what kind of closure is that gonna bring to you? You know?
And even taking all the information that Flaherty did take from that conversation, which we can speak about more in a few, she still decides to go to Boston to do research. And this wasn't until the end of the episode. And I started to laugh because in every black show on TV, there's somebody named Pookie. The Game started this, Pookie this, Pookie that. But she knocks on the door when she arrives in Boston, 9 o'clock at night, and she's like, "Hey, Pookie, blah, blah, blah." And she gets right down to it. Do you know what happened to my mother that night? So I think that scene is definitely going to be in season 4, and they'll start off on on that side of the story
Right.
from that point.
Yeah. No. And
What
you
if that
saw-
was him? That's
That
what I
would
was
be
kind of thinking low key, because
like-
they just had that look.
Yeah, like either it's him or he was friends with one of the guys, or you just never know.
I mean,
It's
the
really,
story's sad.
Yeah, it really sounded like something that would happen in like one of those there's like these books, they're like erotica books or whatever, black erotica books, and it's always like some character who's like gone through that sort of situation where, you know, they've been sexually assaulted and then their life goes like this down spiral.
Yeah.
So it kind of reminded me of the story that I read, because like it was kind of like basically it was a story about that video Vixen Superhead. Like she had like a lot of bad things happen to her in her life
yeah.
and stuff. And then we see her like, you know, go into this career. So it basically reminded me of that, because who's gonna tell the truth in
Yeah.
this matter?
Right.
Who's gonna like fess up and be like, yeah, this is exactly what happened. You know, I was with your mom that night. Like, I don't know.
And then I remember when she released her tell-all books, where she pretty much told the truth about all the situations that she's gone through, all those different things. But that's a perfect example of how she started is the path that she stayed on.
Yeah,
and it
because
just kept going down.
she got, I think
down, up, you know,
Right.
everybody has different opinions on it.
Yeah,
so.
because like there was a lot of bad stuff that happened to her, and then there was more bad stuff that
leading off of that bad stuff.
that.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like maybe that was Cassie's story. Like this happened to her, so then there was some other bad stuff that happened, and now she's just now
Me and Mary Chuck?
Cassie.
Oh, yeah,
Mary
duh,
Charles'
Cassie,
mom.
right,
Yeah,
right, exactly.
Like, you know, maybe, you know, that situation, and then it led to some other bad things, and
Yeah.
you know, just like a promiscuous lifestyle, and then now she's getting her happy ending with with Cam
in China.
you know, and in China, and with Mr. Chen.
Yeah.
She's now getting her happily ever ending, because to go from like getting raped and, you know, especially by 5 multiple people, you know, that can have like a very like
Who you telling?
very sad,
sustaining,
like hard effect on you as a person. Like
Mm-hmm.
it could change your whole view on life. You know,
Hell yeah.
15 years old, you're still a child.
Yes.
No matter if you're trying to go to a party. Yeah, that she said that night I should have never went to the party. She didn't know. You know, she just wanted to have fun. Her
Have some fun.
parents could have been really like strict on her, and she just finally was like, I want to get out the house. And from that moment, she probably looked at people in a whole different light. She probably couldn't
course.
trust people.
Of course. Yeah. I think you just connected some dots, because in this episode toward the end where the Chinaman took the picture of her thinking she was a Beyonce, right before that they were holding hands and she said something about glory, and then Chin was like, what do you mean glory? So I think just the story that she's come from and the where she is now is the glory that she's actually talking about.
Yeah.
Because she's able to live a life that she had no idea she even could at that point.
Right. I'm sure she never envisioned she'd be in China.
Right. Flying jets and stuff.
Right.
So, it's a good ending for her right there, Another story, because let's go back to the conversation Mary Charles had with Jimmy Flaherty. I liked how he opened up about his past. He let her know how his parents lost him north end of Boston for two hours or so, and the important thing that I got from that conversation was it got to a point where the parents were able to tell him that story. They couldn't yet because they were too embarrassed to. And that kind of just goes back to where Cassie is in her life, that now she's obviously past the point of it being embarrassing just because her kids kind of forced it out of her, which we saw in last episode. So I just think with that whole situation there, and this can go with life, no matter what you go through, you're gonna have to confront that demon, that event, and then it starts the healing process. Maybe that's why Mary Charles is going to Boston to figure out the actual story, because I think she just wants to start the healing process. Maybe. What you think?
Yeah, no, that could be it. Like, maybe she wants full details. She wants, like, what their motive was, why they decided to just, like, pick her mom.
Yeah.
Out of, and I don't know.
Which, too, now she's a grown woman. She's definitely over 25. So this was 25 plus years ago.
Right.
Those people may or may not be the same people they were back in the day.
Right, and we
don't know.
see that because it's like it's going to take a lot of forgiveness from her part. Because obviously Cassie's done forgiving because she's not holding on to that. She's probably had to go through numerous steps of having to forgive those people doing that to her.
Agreed.
And so now Mary Charles, she can go, she can confront those people. She can try and threaten them, shoot them, whatever the case may be. But what step is she going to take? And we've seen that a lot in this episode. Choices. Like, she had the choice of going over to Boston. She could have easily just kept going to her therapy sessions and having her therapist walk her through it. But she decided to go over to Boston so she can get some answers.
Yeah. And I think with all these characters, a lot of people, they just want answers at this point. We see, Reggie's whole situation's pretty big. His dad reached out to him in the last episode. He actually sits down with him. The dad's been in AA the past 5 years, so I guess he's coming to a point where he wants to face all of his demons as well. Reggie, he takes it in a way where I myself, growing up without a dad, just not knowing him, I understand where he is coming from. That scene was my equivalent to the scene last week with Cassie, how she let everybody know.
It was more so just like so real. It shows that people are human. Like, he had a drinking problem. He took his drinking problem out on Reggie and Reggie's mom, as we can see. Reggie, you know, he's a really put together guy.
He is.
We never ever would have thought that he suffered from abuse. He never ever seemed like that. He never came off aggressive or anything like that. And to finally see that this guy has
so much
gone
built
through,
up aggression, so much
gone through all of this as a child up to an adult, it's just like so inspiring for others out there to see, because he has like this like very successful life now. It just goes to show that, you know, just because you may have like
money ain't
parents that suffer from addiction, because this is real. There's in every family, there's about at least one family member who has an addiction problem, and it can really take an effect on the children in the long run. The main person of the family who's suffering from addiction doesn't know how well it'll, you know, affect the child until the end, when they're finally, you know, coming out of the rehab situation or they're going to AAA. They then realize that this is what I did to my child, and I now want to get those steps, or, you know, I now want to, you know, mend that relationship, because during the addiction, they're too busy trying to
they're caught up,
deal with, you know, their problems, or they're trying to just get out of their, you know, they're not happy with their job or not happy with their life. So they're using substance to just get on with life, and it's affecting the people around them, just like we see with Reggie.
Yeah, and then especially being one of those people around him, Reggie never got that father figure. He never got what he kind of was teasing his wife about at some point, and she was like, "Look, don't take it there with me. Don't try to put this on me," because pretty much the whole episode, she was trying to comfort him. She was trying to open him up to talk about it, and Gary and I spoke about this on the last episode. You know, as men, you know, it's like society puts on guys have to be tough. You know, we don't talk about things, all those things. You know, and which is why survivor's remorse, it just hits so many different levels, because it brings in that fact that, once again, guys, it's okay to be emotional. You don't have to bang on breakfast. You know, it's like you can just open up, especially with your spouse, and it's okay to let some of that aggression go. But Reggie, when she went to get the picture of him and his dad, he ripped it up, wanted no parts about it. You can see he is definitely big into punching the punching bag. You know, it's just no words, just boom, boom. So you can tell a lot is just building up, and it wasn't until he sat down with the dad, let him know of, I actually put in quote many times, because he kept telling him how he let him down over and over, and he said many times this, and then when he goes to pat him on the back, he starts to let out a little bit of that aggression. And I give great shout out to the acting in this, because the father, his just facial expression never changed, and he was just taking it all. And it got to a point where he patted him so much it kind of moved him. And I think that was the safe way Reggie went about it, compared to what he first said at first. I just want to punch you in the face. I just want to watch the blood go down. And everything was so detailed, too.
Yeah, because, you know, when you deal with a parent who suffers from addiction, it's almost like many times you feel like it's your fault.
Yeah.
And you then question, well, why? Well, why did they do this? Or why did they decide to, you know, steal from me? Or why did they decide to hit me in his instance? Why were these choices made in order to make themselves feel good with whatever they were using at that time? Like, what was it that I did? Like,
that's right.
So, you know, so for him, it's like, you know, you had me and mom, like, you couldn't be just okay with that. You had to use alcohol. Like, what was it? So for him to just like keep hitting him like that, there's so much aggression and so much sadness in that scene, that specific scene right there, you could tell that he wanted to possibly cry,
Hell yeah.
but he just couldn't. He doesn't want, you know, his dad to see him weak, because
weakness.
then you know, he's gonna think that his dad can possibly have like a let-in or some sort of, you know, opening to rebuilding that. Because if Reggie would have broke down, his dad probably would have came and consoled him. It would have been like a way different situation. And obviously he doesn't want to see his wife. He doesn't want to show his wife how much it bothers him. So he's gonna put on this, you know, front and just keep going.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, not to beat the dead horse on this, but like I said, I can completely relate to it. I often think times the day I can confront my own personal problems and I can actually speak with my dad, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to deal with that. I definitely have a lot of questions, you know, how, why, but I think at whatever age, wherever I am in life, is depending on where I am maturely is how I'll be able to handle that situation there, you know. So
yeah, and
Reggie did. I think he handled it great though.
Yeah, and that's why that quote, "Human beings are amazing, some of them suck." It's like, you know, he made a mistake. We see that there was a lot of people in this season, in this specific episode, that made a mistake. Like,
yes.
And they could either come back from it or they can't. And the people that they hurt in the process, it's not going to be easy for those people.
Yeah.
So
actually, it's not going to be easy, especially for Cam, because obviously after getting out the first round of the playoffs to the Celtics, at the end of the episode, we see him making a prison visit.
I didn't know what that was first.
Yeah, I was surprised.
At first, I thought it was like he was walking into like a psychiatric ward at first.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was walking into a jailhouse.
A Rodney Barker, and he said that's his dad. So
I was not expecting that.
They definitely just flung this up on us. I mean, obviously looking forward to season 4, I'm sure we will learn much about it. But I think all throughout the season, Cam didn't really speak a lot about the effects of his dad not being in his actual life. So for them to bring this up at the end, and I think it was definitely a teaser.
Yeah.
Just saying this is what's about to come in season 4.
Yeah, no, it really was. I mean, these last 2 episodes have been
There was so much.
Like, I can't believe now we're now seeing this from all these characters. Basically just what is gonna happen, you know? And even so, it just has me thinking, like, especially the scene. I love the scene where Reggie and his dad were in the diner. How like the dim lighting, like that was really like, it was good. Like these 2 last episodes have been the best episodes.
If they keep this on going in season 4, Survivor's Remorse will change as a whole, but I think they just got to keep it with the consistency.
Yeah, I agree.
Pretty much there. So with that as the season finale, that was about it with this episode. I liked it. I like this episode. I like the last episode. It started off strong, and then it veered off into a few different things. For example, Mary Charles' case. We don't know where she is with her schooling at this point. Catfish, his character's name, I can't think about it, but he's pretty much their right-hand man at this point. We don't know where he is in the season, but shout out to him because he did visit us here on the AfterBuzz Network as well. I just want to know where the whole Reggie and the wife is. I want to know where they are as a couple, because this situation has been getting in between them.
It has.
And she even took a little shot and said, "You say all the time you can't wait to be the father of my children, I don't want the father of my children acting like this, and I want them to know their grandfather.
Yeah.
And he responded, in life, you don't get everything that you want. So I thought that was kind of deep. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to either Gary or Shaprentis. They pretty much said they knew there was going to be like a riff in the marriage, and now we can see that this is the main thing, because we saw that she had taped up the picture that he ripped and put it in a book. So it's going to be like a continuous revolving situation with this.
Yeah, and then at that point too, I think the reason why she taped up the picture, maybe that's going to be the only way her children will be able to see the grandfather. That might have been a way they spun it there, but overall, I think season-wise, this might have been I think character-wise, this is the most look at me talking. This is the most interesting season for the characters as a group.
Yeah,
we learned about them all.
The main characters, Reggie, Cassie, Cam, and Mary Charles, we're now going to see, you know, they left a life in Boston to come to Atlanta, and they left all these skeletons in the closet. You know, we didn't really get like a backstory on them. All we knew is they're starting this new life. They're coming into fame. They're coming into this lifestyle. And now we see why this is such a good story, because we see that these people had tough situations throughout their lives.
And it shows everything is not perfect on the other side. What's that
everything that
saying?
Glitters ain't gold.
Yeah, grass is greener on the other side. You know, it just shows that these characters are all human beings, and even though they got the big house, the money, I mean the butlers, whatever the case is, they still have their own issues that they do have to deal with. So as well, big shout out. I know she came through our studio and chopped it up with us. She is gonna kill me because I'm having a brain freeze, but Erica Ash, how can I forget? Jeez, but
man,
she killed this season. She's on the next season of Real Husbands of Hollywood as well, and I saw the previews, and she's killing that there. I think that if there's one character that stole the show, definitely Erica Ash.
I agree.
She came hard. So Cam, aka Jesse, step your game up, bro.
Well, we saw him step his game up these last 2 episodes.
Yes,
we finally got to see.
We did. Emotional too.
Emotional. We got to see him just really just dive in with who this exterior character is. Interior, like we got to see what really is going on inside of his mind, because we never did. We just seen he's just like, he's the athlete. He came from Boston.
Yeah.
He came from a poor situation. Now he's into a better, more affluent situation. And now we see that this guy is more relatable. We can relate to him. Many others out there
definitely can.
Who are watching and be like, wow. Like,
I know what he's talking about. I know what he's going through. It's interesting too. Ever since we lost Uncle Julius, all these, I guess, emotional topics came about. Because if you remember, reason why everybody loved Uncle Julius, because he brought the funny. I mean, that was his job. And once again, Cassie, aka her brother, she loved when he was around because she always kept a smile on his face, and maybe that was the void that she had to not go into the past.
That
and it wasn't until Uncle Julius, aka Mike Epps, stepped out the picture. Now we see all these different issues come just because no one's there to keep things smiling and funny and on the go. So,
well,
you never know. Hey, I'm dissecting here. You know, I'm trying to figure things out.
Right?
Right, exactly. So as we go into the next season, season 4, let's get into these predictions and see what we think. One time.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Since we've got some time, how about we give a prediction for each character? Is that cool?
Okay, well,
See what we expect out of them.
I'm just going to be defiant, and I'm going to give my first prediction for the full cast.
Okay.
I think that the family is going to probably have to all go to therapy together.
It's that deep?
Yeah. They're
Okay.
all suffering from some really internal issues at this point. Okay, so then I'm going to go into individuals.
All right, so let me give. I think as a cast, what I would like to see more is definitely interacting with these situations with each other. Because if you see now, they're all going through something, but they're all going to outside sources on how to deal with it. I think if they come together as a family, because one, they all. Even though the most exciting stuff we've seen are definitely in these past 2 episodes. So the family hasn't had a chance to everybody come together and actually talk about it. So I think that's what I would like to see as a group. So for Mary Charles, what would you like to see?
Well, Mary Charles is definitely
She's
going to be
back in
stepping
Boston.
into some dangerous territory.
Definitely.
Going after someone else's past, this is going to cause like a
Friction,
lot of friction between her
especially
and
between Cassie. Yeah.
I don't think Cassie would want her to do this, to go back. You know, I think this is a door that Cassie has closed.
And hammered it shut.
Yeah.
Never
so now
opening up
it's going to
again.
be just causing a lot of friction for Mary Charles. Danger. I can see some danger.
Okay. What about Cassie and Chen?
Cassie and Chen, I can see some wedding bells for sure.
yeah.
Now that
got good.
she's met the family and got the family's approval, I now do think that Chen will probably get down on one knee.
Hey, he tried to do some fake. I don't know what was that, a sex bot or something.
Yeah,
So we know he's willing to go there. You know.
Yeah, to go the extra mile.
Exactly. What about Cam and Allison, who we
Cam
barely
and
saw?
you know, it's so funny was when they show Cam gazing out before they zoomed into the jailhouse. I thought that he was gazing at Allison. But I think that Allison is a distant memory in this moment because right now the family is going through a lot. We're going to now see him trying to maybe get a relationship with his dad. You know, there's going to be some answers that he can finally get. You know, he didn't take responsibility for that whole abortion thing because he never had a father around. So maybe
Once again, yep.
You know,
the story just goes on.
So I definitely think that he's going to get a lot of closure with visiting this jailhouse.
Okay. Lastly, but not least, Reggie, his situation, and wifey.
Well, I definitely think this is the last that we're going to see of Reggie's dad.
Yeah.
He'll be back. He's going to keep. I mean, this is like, yeah, you know, Reggie said the F you, F that. But if the dad really, really does want to be in Reggie's life as much as he says he wants to, it's going to take just more than one meeting.
Yeah.
He's going to have to keep, you know, he might have to move to Atlanta. He might have to, you know, keep trying because it's not going to be easy. It's going to have to take some steps and a lot of maybe some therapy between them both. But Reggie, at this point, I think he's just going to be focusing in on Cam's career
and closing them deals.
Yeah, and between them, I think that they're gonna move past this, but I also do think that it's going to be some friction still because obviously he hasn't shared anything with her. Maybe he might open up, tell her a few things, and
that's it.
That can bring some of them back together.
Yeah, I do feel like he's definitely guarded in specific areas just in life, and he just doesn't want to attack those, and I think ultimately that is gonna hurt him in the end because once again, you know, everybody needs somebody to talk to at the end of the day. I don't care if you're 15 or you're 98, you know, so we all need somebody. So I think based on the Reggie as well in that situation there, I think he is going to continue to be the great manager that he definitely is. I think they're going to continue to open up this emotional side that we haven't seen much of. The wife is going to definitely just continue to attempt to be there for him, but I think it'll get to a point where she's like, if you don't want me to help, then why am I here? And then that might start a whole different thing with them. So I think Cam and Allison, I think Allison's gone, which is a shame because I remember we've been doing the after show for some time now, Trina. This is crazy. I remember in season 2 when she first came, I was happy. I was, yes, bring her here. And it's like she hasn't done enough episodes to even make it over.
Right.
I ain't trying to throw no type of shade, but I'm just saying, you know, I was so happy about that relationship. It's fallen off, so I think that is kind of about to be out of the picture. I think Cam visiting his pop, that's gonna have a lot of emotional issues, as well as maybe the pop learning that his son is an NBA superstar. I think he might try to take advantage of that, because that also happens with a lot of people.
Maybe he already knew his son was an athlete. I'm sure they have TV in the jail.
True.
And the game comes on. I'm pretty sure he knows that's his son. He knows his son is a hooper, a pro.
Right. Now I guess we just gotta wait and see. Because if I knew my son was a pro and I'm in jail, I need stuff on my books. I'm like, hey, what's up, son? I mean, you know, hit me up with some bucks over here. So I'm just saying. Cassie and Chin, I think they're on a great path, especially. We see where Cassie has came from and what Chin can do from her life. I just hope they continue that. And I like the whole diversity part, because it shows us 2 different worlds collided. I think that's dope. Lastly, Mary Charles, a.k.a. Erica Ash, who definitely stealed the season this season. I think I want them to stay away from the whole mother situation, just because I think it takes away from her being able to shine, if that makes sense. And just to go off what you say, as soon as the mother learns that she went back to Boston to do more information, there's going to be major friction. I think possibly even more than what we've seen them go back and forth about in the season. I think this is just going to open a whole other Pandora's box at this point. So with Mary Charles, I think less stuff about mom, more stuff about her as in her schooling. I like the relationship with her and Jimmy Flaherty. They got that, if you need a friend, just call me, we can talk it out. I thought that was a dope there. And I just want more just about herself. So, but I guess we can only wait and see. So that's it.
Yeah, and side note, Flaherty going after the reporter.
Oh, the reporter, yeah. So I guess next season, if they bring her back, she will have some shine, or a $4 million contract. One of the two, huh? What if some girl approached me saying, I want to go out with you, and they agree for a contract, I'm being in that for about 2 months, then I'm out. I'm sorry. The money, $4 million, that's a whole new life. Am I shady? Whatever. Don't judge me. And that is it for our season finale of Survivor's Remorse. I want to thank everybody for tuning in every week, for joining my panel and I. Make sure you continue the conversation in the comments always. We love to reach back out to you. I am Jimmy V. I can be found on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Be Your Own Dad. To see more of me, I just got my own show on this app. It's called Bid Chat. Go download that, search Jimmy V. You'll find me. Where can the people find you?
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Shout
Thank
out.
you.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Your Girl Trinae. Thank you guys for watching and keeping up with us here. We love you. Make sure to subscribe too.
To AfterBuzz TV, and see you guys next season.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.